Welcome to the Authority File, the podcast where you'll hear conversations with academic librarians, technologists, researchers, and authors whose work is laying the foundation for higher education's future. I'm Bill Mickey, your host and the editorial director at Choice. In this four-part series, we're going to get an inside peek at a publishing operation tasked with distributing arguably some of the most important research, data, and reports available. I'll be speaking with some of the team behind UN Publications, the publishing and distribution unit of the United Nations. UN Publications curates the UN system's global research provided by dozens of UN agencies, funds, programs, and departments. These reports are made available through UN Publications' iLibrary platform, and we'll get a look under the hood to see how the metadata, structured taxonomies, and subject tagging work to surface this vast array of content. We'll also hear about UN Publications' global publishing partnerships, including the SDG Publishers Compact, the SDG Book Club, and how academic libraries can join the UN's network of partners to align themselves more closely to the Sustainable Development Goals. Joining me for this series, which is brought to you with support from UN Publications, are Mary Glenn, Chief of UN Publications, Shalou Thomas-Cherian, Senior Program Manager, Stephen McGroarty, Editorial Manager, and Antje Waterman, who is the Marketing Manager. Throughout the series, each of our guests will provide an inside track on UN Publications' operation, products, and partnerships. Starting with this first episode, Mary Glenn situates the publisher in the context of the UN and defines the mission and scope of its operation. Okay, Mary, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
All right. So we typically start with introductions. So maybe just real quick, just introduce yourself and talk a bit about what you do at UN Publications.
Sure. Well, my name is Mary Glenn, and I joined the UN just recently in May, this past May. My background was in commercial corporate publishing, McGraw-Hill Trade, a bunch of other places from startups to conglomerates. I've kind of worked in all sectors of commercial publishing. So I'm new to the UN. And my official title is Chief Sales and Marketing in the Outreach Division in the Department of Global Communications. But we just say Chief of UN Publications. And the purpose of this section is to promote the UN's knowledge, communication, and outreach by publishing, selling, distributing, and licensing print and electronic publications, periodicals, databases, all that disseminate the UN knowledge, studies, and data. So what this means in practice is we're the official source for UN's research and data on a wide range of topics in print and digital formats. I also oversee the UN bookshops in New York and Geneva, and we sell UN-branded products, books, and reports published by the UN, as well as books by other publishers. All of our products are aligned with UN values and priorities. And our best-selling product by far is our SDG pin, spotted on UN delegates, staff, and everyday citizens of the world, celebrities and leaders alike.
Excellent. Who knew that the pin would be the bestseller? Fantastic. So maybe situate UN Publications for us, or in the broader context of the United Nations itself. What is UN Publications' role, and how does that differ, for example, from publishing efforts within the various UN agencies?
Sure. Let me just back up a little bit and just give a little context for the United Nations. Of course, we were founded in 1945. We're the largest international organization in the world, over 36,000 employees in over 160 countries. We have a budget of $14.8 billion, and we have 8 key priorities: sustainable development, peace and security, development in Africa, human rights, humanitarian assistance, justice and international law, disarmament, drugs, crime, and terrorism, and delivery on mandates. And those are the new mandates that our Secretary General just published recently. And the Department of Global Communications sits in this delivering on our mandates priority. So the outreach division is made up of the Dag Hammarskjöld Library, educational outreach, so Model UN, community outreach, the UN Chronicle, which is an online kind of blog, visitor services, which are the guided tours, and US UN publications. Visitor services and UN publications are quote unquote income sections. That is, in addition to communicating, we also bring in revenue, therefore sales and marketing. So we are unique within the UN system. So the author agencies really produce the data and the research, and we sell and market it.
Okay. And then can you just provide a snapshot of the types of content UN Publications curates and how it makes its decisions on, which of the various content formats should be disseminated and sold?
Sure. We have the UN is really more like 50 small UNs, and these are the Arthur departments. They're the 50 or so agencies, funds, programs, entities, and the Secretariat, like ones you've heard of: UNICEF, World Health Organization. We also have UN Women, UN Economic Commission for Europe, UN Development Program, and even the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs. And there are many more. Everything that the UN Publications Department sells or distributes is available for free through those individual agencies. But obviously, it would be very hard and time consuming to track down all that information agency by agency. All in all, we publish about 500 new titles a year in areas of economic and social development, international law and justice, peacekeeping and security, human rights and refugees, natural resources, climate change, among others. We have PDFs, print books, ebooks, online journals, databases, working papers, and data publications. We make our decisions on format based on what we see as consumer demand. So while print is obviously declining, if you want a printed book, and many still do, you can order that through our shop.un.org e-commerce site, or you can purchase a PDF for download at that same site. And if you want an ebook, you can buy one from our various ebook vendor platforms. And finally, we have UN iLibrary, and that un-ilibrary.org, which is an impressive subscription platform, also available on a freemium basis, where you can read, download, edit, and share vast amounts of content online. And you'll hear more about the UN Library in the next episodes.
Yes, indeed. Lots of questions coming up for that.
Yes. And if you're curious, our best-selling print product is ADR, otherwise known as the European Agreement Concerning the International Carriage of Dangerous Goods by Road. It comes out every 2 years and is a must-have for all carriers of dangerous goods by road in Europe. The next one comes out in the fall of 2023. That'll be the 2024 edition, and this is also available in the UN Library. And then we have 2 other digital subscription platforms, one of which is our best-selling digital product by far, and that is Comtrade, the most comprehensive global data trade site in the world. We have some 500 subscribers, banks, government offices, Ivy League universities, Goldman Sachs just subscribed. We have multinational investment banks like BlackRock. It provides detailed import and export statistics in goods and services, covering 200 countries and representing 99% of the world's merchandise trade. And we just launched a new upgraded version of that. And then finally, in terms of our databases, we have the United Nations Development Business, UNDB. That's a platform that provides access to over $100 billion worth of contracting opportunities in international development products. So quite a vast amount of research that we have.
And that all falls under UN Publications purview?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So then, who then is, you mentioned some corporate customers, but who really is the target audience for most of this?
I mean, one of our mandates is to always increase the audience and to really appeal as much as we can to the general audience. But so we have many different kind of buckets, which our content serves,
Yeah.
depending on what it is. But academic and research libraries, public libraries, researchers, academics, students, and faculty. Large market is other international organizations, governments, nonprofits, IGOs, NGOs. You have your banks and your multinational financial institutions. Journalists and media is another
Mm,
big market for us,
yeah.
and we have a large general audience for like the Model UN books, Essential UN. We even do a handful of children's books.
Excellent. Okay. Um, so then looking ahead, I mean, how would you characterize, what's on the horizon for UN's research, and, how or which global challenges are influencing and shaping it?
Well, our role, and coming here from other publishing companies where we had more of a hand in kind of the editorial priorities of
Mm,
what the company was publishing, but the role for sales and marketing is really unique in terms of being a publisher. So we don't drive any of the editorial priorities for the organization. Obviously, the UN brings them to us. Instead, our mandate is to drive demand for the research to
okay.
ensure the UN priorities are communicated. We position our products and platforms as indispensable and verified. So even though, and there are many companies out there that scrape our data and sell it, but it's best, you're never going to get it as pure as from UN publications.
Mm,
And in terms of what's ahead for UN research, this year marks the halfway point for the Sustainable Development Goals, those SDGs I mentioned before. They were conceived in 2016 with the target date for full achievement in 2030. So we have a ways to go with those SDGs, which are basically a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure all people enjoy peace and prosperity. So, for the foreseeable future, we'll be focusing on high impact initiatives such as digital public infrastructure, energy compacts, ending violence against women, biodiversity, and transforming education. So, obviously, those are all of appeal to and fit naturally within kind of publications environment. We're well positioned to be on the forefront in disseminating these initiatives, as we are truly one-stop shopping or viewing for everything the United Nations produces.
excellent. Well, only 6 years and change to go until 2030. So,
It's definitely it's a stretch goal,
yeah.
but and I just want to mention that this monumental body of research is coming from the outside. It's just unparalleled in its scope, authority, its scientific objectivity, and I must mention that all of this information is curated, managed, marketed, and disseminated by a mere 26 incredibly knowledgeable staff members who I work with, and they are dedicated to the mission of the United Nations. So I just wanted to shout out to my colleagues who truly impress me every day.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's surprising that it's a pretty small staff for all of that. Excellent.
Great.
All right. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
You just heard from Mary Glenn, Chief of UN Publications. This series is brought to you with support from UN Publications. Join us next week when we dig into the technical aspects of how the reports that are produced by the UN's agencies are curated and optimized for accessibility, discovery, and distribution. As always, underwriting of opportunities for the Authority File podcast are directed by Choice's advertising manager, Pam Marino, and all of our episodes are produced and edited by Choice's digital media producer, Sabrina Kofer, with support from digital media assistant, Ashley Roy. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us.